Recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios Brisbane on 102.1 FM.
And broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Z Games.
With 10 years experience and over 500 episodes,
Z Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture.
Want to reach out? Message us on Facebook at ZEDGamesAU.
Whoa, it's Z Games time.
It is.
Anyway, hi. Welcome to Z Games. I'm Maylee.
I'm Paul.
And tonight, we're going to talk about video games.
Oh, I like those. I've been playing a lot of those.
But not dodgeball games.
No, not yet, no.
We have reviews and news, discussions and music, but... What?
You get into a real groove where you're like, it's like you talk with your hands.
Yeah, you.
Like, yeah.
I wish I could portray it to people, but I am emoting, expressive, all over the studio. I think it's news time.
Yeah, let's start with some news. Kick this off. Yeah.
This week in gaming news, Ireland teams up with Assassin's Creed for gaming tourism. Historically, games have relied on the experience of seeing real-life locations simulated in games to evoke response in gamers. Yet Tourism Ireland is seeking to reverse this in a post-pandemic world to create gaming tourism. This week, Tourism Ireland has teamed up with Ubisoft, creating a showcase of in-game Irish locations and their real-life locations from the latest DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Wrath of the Druids. Tourism Ireland has also collaborated with several influencers on Twitch with followers in key tourism markets including Great Britain, Germany, France, Spain and Nordic countries, all with the aim to inspire gamers to come and explore the locations in the real world. Facebook looking to inject advertisement into paid Oculus content. Earlier this week, Facebook announced the integration of paid advertisements into Oculus VR games. This initially was introduced by Facebook to explore new ways for developers to generate revenue, and hints that the advertisements would be used to assist in subsidizing VR products to be more accessible at consumer-friendly prices. The Verge also reports that Facebook is searching for new ways to implement these unobtrusive ads and new ad formats, all which are personalized through the user's Facebook profile and Oculus Store history. Blastion, the first of the games to publicly have the advertisements implemented, have already announced that they will be backing out of the trial. Tommy Palm, Resolution Games CEO, announced, "Some good points have been made, and we realise that Blastion isn't the best fit for this type of advertising test." Xbox Design Lab is back, but not for Aussies. With the re-release of the Xbox Design Lab, gamers in the US, Canada and most Western European countries can finally customise their controllers. While this does not include the Xbox Elite controller, it does offer 18 different colour options for most parts of the controller, with preset options for the menu and A, B, X, Y buttons, and the option for 16 character engraving, all on the newly designed Xbox Series X/X controllers, but be careful with your choices. Due to the customisations, refunds are currently unavailable, if we could get them in Australia anyway. Some quick game bites. GTA Online for PS3 and Xbox 360 will be shut down on the 16th of December this year. In the lead up to the shutdown, purchases of in-game currency for these systems will no longer be available. However, the next-gen console release has been announced for later this year. And Overwatch now has cross-play support. Now, you can go head-to-head with your friends on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch and PC in quick-play, arcade and custom matches. However, due to the unfair advantage PC players have with a mouse and keyboard, PC players will only be matched with other PC players in competitive ranked matches. And now for some game releases. On the 25th of June, Mario Golf Super Rush is coming to Switch. Super Squad, a team-based online multiplayer top-down shoot-'em-up, is coming to PC, and Bandai Namco's RPG Scarlet Nexus is coming to everything but the Switch. Coming out on the 29th of June is Curved Space, an arcade twin-stick shooter, also on everything but the Switch. On the 20th of June, the visually unique puzzle platformer A Tale of Synapse, The Chaos Theories, comes to PC and the Switch, and finally Doki Doki Literature Club Plus comes to PC, Xbox 4 and 5, Xbox One and X, and the Switch. And that's all this week in gaming news.
Heck yeah.
That was some news.
That was some news.
I was very excited because Toby, I believe, invented a word during that.
Yes.
It's very good. It was your Western.
Your Western.
It's a Western Europe.
I like it.
And I'm down for your rest. Oh, it's actually quite hard to say now.
Would that be spelled EURO W, like Eurowestern.
Oh, I was thinking EU and then just Western.
Oh, yeah.
Eurowestern.
Eurowestern.
Oh, I guess it might be you might need the R in there. EUR. Anyway, I enjoyed it very much so. No, it was I was the Facebook ads in Oculus was been interesting because there's been so much politics around the Oculus and Facebook's saying they do things and then doing them anyway stuff. But it was quite nice to see the community just said no and devs backed out. I mean, for free to play, it'll be fair enough, but paid apps, I mean, that's the argument we've been having with people wanting to make money for ages. Like all your high-end sports games all have like built-in advertising and everything now. It's just more realistic. I'm like, okay, I guess. I'm not going to play them anyway.
Yeah.
It's not for Paul.
There's a line where realism isn't for the sake of realism.
Yeah,
it's
I don't really need it.
Selling us
I don't need
stuff.
to play it.
Yeah.
What's wrong with fake ads?
To be
That's
fair,
also
I
good.
probably wasn't going to play the sports games anyway.
No, that's often where I lie. That's what whenever I have someone that's complaining to me about how sort of AAA is including all these functions, all these microtransactions they don't want and things like that. I'm like, I often do like a top 200 games of the year and almost none of them have those things. You could play a different game, but I want to play that one.
I need the shiny, popular online multiplayer game.
Yeah.
I need my dodgeball.
It is actually, if you want big multiplayer games, you are often stuck in those sort of markets and everything. But anyway, yeah. And I've always been jealous of being able to make the custom Xbox controllers.
Yeah.
I'm not one for aesthetics normally. I'm like, I literally break LEDs off my equipment. I don't like glowing stuff and everything. Like, nah, gamer aesthetic, not for Paul. But I'm
not for Paul.
Oh, but I could do like a...
What is your aesthetic?
Black. Well, it used to be beige, but you can't do beige anymore.
Nice.
No, I don't want to focus on my equipment.
Is that like a sophisticated black or like an emo black?
Oh,
are you a businessman or an emo teenager?
More middle. I was definitely an emo teenager. My group back in high school, back in the old days, in the before time, we were literally called the Cult. But just because we wore boots.
Who called you that?
Everyone else in the school, apparently. It was still a nice school.
Nice.
There were great rumors about us having like blood orgies in the forest.
Is there any truth to these rumors?
Definitely not. We were not that interesting. We were a bunch of nerds and art people.
Dang. Welcome to Zed Games. Back to Zed Games. I'm Maylee. I'm here with Paul.
Pleased to be here.
Yeah. We're going to talk about Root.
We are. So, Root is a board game, and it's got a name that you can make one kind of lame joke about once, and then you'll forget about it because there's no real good jokes. So Root is a game of woodland might and right. This is an asymmetrical board game, which means each player plays a totally different sort of team, you might call it. It does vary. There are 4 teams: the Marquis de Cat, the Eyrie Dynasty, the Woodland Alliance, and the Vagabond. And the point of this game is for one of these to reach 30 points. There are some things you can do to change end conditions, but that's basically what you're doing. What makes it so interesting and so difficult to learn in many ways is that each of these sides is quite different. The Marquis de Cat, they are the most simple. You have 3 moves to make each other. You can move characters, you can recruit, you can build, and you can fight. I think that pretty much covers it, with a few other things that we don't need to go into the nitty-gritty of it.
We'll be here all night if we do.
We can. The second is quite similar, but with a big difference. So the Eyrie Dynasties, they are hawks, and they are a political alliance. So you have a leader, and that leader will be, say, someone that demands you fight. And at the beginning of each turn, you have to lay down some new rules, some new laws, and you must do those things. So you might have to move from a certain kind of clearing. You might have to fight in a certain time of clearing. So every time you add another law, your next move becomes more complex. You can do more and more moves, but if you fail to do it, your government falls apart, and you lose a bunch of points, and you have to start with some new rules with a different leader. Then we get to the Woodland Alliance. Woodland Alliance, they fuel themselves on sympathy. They are protesters.
Yeah.
And you place them in different clearings in this woodland, and you gain power by putting yourself where other players want to go and them causing outrage by interfering with you. And then you get to the Vagabond.
My favorite.
Which is a single-player adventure game that you play on this board with everyone else. The Vagabond moves around and does quests and interacts and gets items that allow him to do different skills and moves across the board in a totally different way than any others do. So, the game has quite good basic tutorials to teach you how to do each of these roles. The problem being, and it is only a problem in that it takes a while to learn, until you have played against each of these roles, you might know what you're trying to do, but how to counter what they're trying to do, or even understanding what they're trying to do, is quite difficult. Then, I'm not going to go too deep into this. Then the lovely people. So this game was designed by Cole Whirl and published by Leader Games. And they have released expansions. So this is a 2 to 4 player game, but now it's also a 1 to 6 player game. The first expansion is the Riverfolk expansion, adding 2 more factions. The Lizard Cult, which have to basically convince other tokens to become part of their cult, and it's quite wild. And then the other one is a merchant class, which has to set up services and sell things to all the other players. Then they added a Clockwork expansion, which makes a bunch of rules to automate some of the classes so that you can play one player or you can fill out roles that aren't done. And now they've also added the Underworld expansion that adds 2 more classes, some moles, and I can't remember what the other one is because I haven't tried them yet because, by Lord, it is such an interesting game as you learn it. And I've been playing this game almost every day for about 2 months now because I have never played this game as a board game. I play this game digitally.
Like a crazy person.
Yes, because I am a middle-aged man and all my middle-aged friends with families and such, it's quite difficult to sit down and play a board game. We got this digitally, and some of us got it on Android. I did. Some of us got it on iOS, and some of us got it on Steam. And they all work together. And so we have a game that you have your turn, it just sends a notification to the next person, and they have their turn, and it takes us about 4 or 5 days to get through a match.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was... I thought it would be played, I don't know, sort of like a Civ Games time that you'd go in there and...
No, you can play it like that. So you can set either a 5-minute timer for the next person or a 3-day timer for the next person.
That'd be a really fun way to... I've played the board game, so I've not played
digitally,
long version or digitally, but that would be really fun.
It means it's always in the back of my... Normally we make our turns sort of like at night when we're home and doing other things. It's been really interesting.
I'd have more time to like think it out.
Yeah. But also, if you're waiting for your next turn because you've planted and you're really wanting to execute on a plan, you might be waiting a couple of days, which can be
frustrating.
A little frustrating.
Yeah.
But you could also set up a game with someone that wants to play more directly and set up a 5-minute timer instead of a 3-day timer. It's unfortunately they don't let you change those because we'd like a 1-day timer because sometimes someone forgets and we'd just rather them have their turn automatically taken or whatever and let us continue. But yeah, it's a super... It's not ultra complex because, as you know, some board games can become like you need a day to learn how to do the basic functions and then you need 3 days to play it. So this is still a game that if you're playing in real time, an hour to 2 hours maybe, that's if you're having good rants at each other. If you were all just serious about playing the game, you could probably get through it in 20 minutes, honestly. But its complexity comes from learning all of these factions, how they interact, what you can do, because there aren't that many pieces on the board. It's not like it's an unreadable mess. It's just that those pieces mean different things to different players. And that's been great. I've had a wonderful time. I've played all the 4 base roles.
What's your favorite?
I like the Iron Dynasty, the Hawks, because I like setting up a really complex set of rules that I have to then adhere to. I've got pretty far in that. And it's one of those things, I don't know, did you know, so one of the things you do is you build sort of bases with the Hawks. And the more you have, the more points you get each round. Did you know you can run out?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, there's a limit.
Oh.
I don't think most people hit it. So you can't take every single space on the board, which I almost did, and then I couldn't. So my political group fell apart.
Good.
But I still won.
Oh.
Yeah, because I'm hardcore. No, I lose most of the time.
Tyrannical.
But yeah, it's also interesting, the digital verse, because the games in Australia, it's about $80, isn't it? Something
That's
around that?
that, yeah.
Yeah, matters where you're getting it from. So when you're buying it digitally, the game's $15, but everyone has to buy it. So if you're going to play with the same people, it's sort of cheaper for everyone's buy-in, and and then you can play with other people and you play single player and everything. But everyone has to buy it. And then with the expansions,
It's more.
actually everyone doesn't have to buy it.
Oh.
Only the people that want to play those other classes have to buy it.
Oh, that's
So
good.
they can go and play the Lizard Cult, but if you haven't bought it, they still include the tutorial, so you can try them out. But only the people. So it could be.
So you can play
there's a bit of leeway.
against them.
Yeah. So as far as money goes and everything, it's an interesting side. It doesn't really cost any less, but it can cost less per person what we're doing and everything.
Yeah.
And the digital version doesn't have the latest expansion yet. It just has the Clockwork expansion and the original Riverfolk expansion with the lizards and the otters, which are pretty cute. And it's so cute. The cards, like all the art in it's beautiful, and the game version, they're all 3D modeled and they've got little animations, and the main screen has them playing a little hoedown on some instruments, and it's very charming.
The board game has cute little wooden guys, and they have no details on them, but they're cute wood things.
Oh, but people have made detailed ones.
Yeah,
and they look very nice, and because of my mild obsession with the game, kind of tempted. But yeah, Abby, you've played it physically, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how's your experience physically been with it?
It's really good. I've played it with a few people who aren't into, super complex board games, and I found that they haven't struggled with it. It's been easy for people to get into. So I've started trying to play it with people to try and get them to play more board games with me, to be like, because it's really fun, and it is complex, but it's not super complex to get the basic hang of.
Yeah, the actual
to
roles.
Start, you just need to know what you do.
Yeah, what your role? What are you trying to achieve? You can just play it just trying to achieve what you want to achieve.
Especially,
and you got a little card that tells you all the things you can do, and it's not that many options.
Especially if you play the Vagabond. That was who I played the first time I played the Vagabond. Everyone was having a war. I just walked off through the woods, did my quests, picked up my magic boots, and then when they were about to win, I walked into the middle and burnt down all the clearings around me.
Good.
I didn't win, but I caused the chaos.
Actually, the one thing I didn't mention about the first expansion is that it adds 3 more types of vagabonds.
Ah, yes, good.
So there's so much vagabondage. Oh, that's not a term. There's a few things that I think don't work in the digital version. We were discussing beforehand that the merchant class, you probably need to be at a spruik and like, hey, how about you do this? And then you'll be because it's very hard to play digitally when you're not talking to each other. But other than that, it all works well.
Yeah.
It's a little phenomenon. It's really blown up around the place. I heard about it and we had to get in.
If you're looking for a board game or a digital board game,
you avoided the sentence if you're looking for a name of the game then, weren't you?
I was trying not to call attention to it, but perhaps, yes.
Yeah. So, other than that, I think it's coming to Switch as well. But it just isn't released yet. Should be not too far in the future.
Do you know, or do you think you have to, is it compatible with multiple Switches, or do you think you could play it on one Switch if you had all the controls?
I doubt it, because
Why don't you know the inner workings
of this company that I'm not part of? By the way, the digital developer is Direwolf. I imagine because there is some hidden information to each player. You can't see the other player's cards. It'd be difficult to do on a single screen. But they're all cross-compatible. Yeah. So grab it on the phone and everything. Or play it on the Switch and just tell people not to look when it's not their turn.
Yeah.
Add that feature.
We're not here to talk about video games. Well, We kind of are, but not in this current segment. We're here to talk about board games.
Board games?
Board games.
I love board games.
That can come in the video variety.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, as we have previously mentioned.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, doesn't everyone love a board game?
No, many people don't.
Oh, I find I can get most people in. My trick is because I have less enthused friends in wanting to learn more difficult games, I'd look for games that I can sort of sum up in like a sentence or two for the rules.
Give us a few quick pitches then.
Okay, so Letter Tycoon. Letter Tycoon is a word-building game with Scrabble-style tiles. So you build a word, and that's worth money, and you use your money to buy the rights to a letter.
Okay.
So if early in the game, like the vowels are more expensive, you might buy an E. So every time someone uses an E, you get some more money. That's it. That's the end. That's the whole game.
I had never heard of that. And from the title, I assumed it was some form of mailman monopoly. So was not expecting that. But yeah, that's fun.
There probably is a mailman monopoly, like because they do a monopoly version of everything. Australia Post Monopoly.
No, but I mean like one where you travel the monopoly board and give out letters.
Yeah.
Or something.
Now, one of the ways I find games is down PAX each year, which I tend to go to. Not this year, unfortunately, where whilst there's a huge focus on video games there, a massive area of it is dedicated to board games, and they have a library of thousands of them. And you go and you pick up a game, and if you have friends, great. If not, just pick up a game anyway, and they'll have little signs that say "looking for group." Sit down, looking for group. You'll normally fill up within 5 minutes, and you can try all sorts of weird things. Like I did one which was a knitting themed game. It was another word game. I do like word games, but I can't quite remember. But you had to put yarn around everything, and it's very well themed. And especially I like gimmicky ones where you have to build things, like building towers that topple and everything. Because I'm never going to buy this. I'll lose the pieces. But
so Jenga, that's your cup of tea.
I remember one is it's King of something. I think it's relatively popular, where you build like city buildings and you have to move your monsters up them.
Oh,
and
that sounds fun.
Yeah, stuff like that. Wild things. What's your go-to with board games?
Kind of basic. I am a sucker for the social deduction games.
Oh,
so werewolf.
You're so much.
And anything werewolf adjacent.
Yeah.
I love it. A lot of my friends won't play them with me anymore because they're bad at it. They're very bad at lying.
I think it might be called Spycraft. Apologies, but it was a social deduction one, and it was simply everyone is dealt a card with a location on it, except one of the cards is that someone's the imposter, and then you just have to question each other.
Oh yeah,
but
I've played a game like that.
If the imposter can work out what the location is, they win. So you have to ask these weirdly favorites, like, and they get very esoteric. One of our go-tos, just because it started as a funny question, so we just asked it for everything. It's like, how would you feel if this location were underwater? Ooh. It's like, and asking how would you feel about this, and because you want to give strange hints to let everyone know that you actually do know what it is without letting it on to the other person. That's a good one. And then your resistance.
I've played a game that's that basic one, but instead of guessing locations, it was like you have to raise your hand. It was ask questions about yourself, like who had their first kiss before they were 15 or something. And then you had to raise your hand, but you'd often raise your hand or lower your hand for quite outlandish things and then have to justify yourself.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
There's one of those and this is going back to the video game side of board games, all of the Jackbox games, which if you're unaware of Jackbox, they're a collection of digital board games which everyone plays with on their phone. And one of those is like, the question will come up like, oh, okay, who's kissed in an elevator? There we go. And then, but the person that isn't has like a different prompt. And so they put their hand and they have to justify. So, you don't know what I did. It's so another social deduction is great because it doesn't require gaming skill. It requires the skill of being a friend.
Yeah.
And Yeah, you do find out that you got lots of liars in your friendship group, which is good.
Yes.
Good fun.
I am one of them. I am a liar.
You're a key liar.
But you brought up Jackbox. I really like Jackbox. They're like not board games.
They're just social party games of some sort.
But I really like, because there's a lot of party games out there, but I really like how it goes through the phone.
Well, because Jackbox just started as a trivia game back in the 90s, and you originally just have three people at a keyboard. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I had them all. Except the sports one, because I don't know sports. And then it sort of took a hiatus, and it came back, I suppose, probably in the 2010s. And then it was an online thing, and everyone used their phones. And I play that with every demographic. I'll get grandparents into it. I mean, I guess kids probably would be a bit too hard for. But, as soon as someone can operate a phone, because there's ones where you design T-shirts, and every once in a while they'll try an action game, and those are always terrible. But they each come with like 6 games in them, so it doesn't matter if one is terrible. But yeah, they are classic party games which get that board game atmosphere without actually being it. Yeah.
Now, I think we could talk about board games
forever. I have hundreds. I keep stopping myself from bringing up another tangent because I love tangents.
We probably do have to head off soon, but before we do, I want one more pitch. What's the game you're going to recommend?
Oh, recommending a board game.
I've got one if you want to.
You start, because I haven't thought of something.
Okay. I've got to do in one sentence. It's Love Letter. I don't know if you played Love Letter.
I know Love Letter.
It is very accessible card game. You have to. It's got a little bit of like an old maid vibe. You have to not die. You have to not be put out, and you have to last to the end and have the highest card. So that you can get your love letter to the princess and win her heart at the end of the day. And I don't like playing that with my friends anymore because they're very mean and better than me at it. Yeah, that's love letter. What you got?
Okay, I also want to, because I'm pretty sure this is a Brisbane game.
Oh.
I was like, I can't quite remember the name. And if I'm wrong about the Brisbane, then sorry, the actual developers. This was a game that was kickstarted years ago, and I just love the theme. It's called Burger Up. Burger Up. And it is about fulfilling burger orders. So you have cards that have all the ingredients, and then rules about how they can be layered up, and different burgers are worth different values. So everyone's trying to get the cards to like, I need to make a superb veggie burger. I need at least 3 vegetables and 1 condiment, and you got
to get your burgers.
And that just wins for theming. Yeah, it's a fun game.
Gotta
I think 4 people can play that. It's that's actually the hard thing. Getting games for more people. That's where social deduction games are often good, because they'll say, between 2 and 30.
Yeah.
Like, I have more than 4, and more than 4 is hard sometimes.
Yes. All right. I think that's it for tonight. Any last words?
Ganati Kaliba Mesophile.
What?
It's the longest word I know.
That didn't sound like a real word.
Yeah, it means, so I believe it means someone who finds the prospect of nibbling on a woman's earlobe to be an aphrodisiac.
Oh.
Yeah. I learned it from Adam Spencer like 20 years ago.
Okay. Well, there you go, folks.
We're learning all sorts of things.
That's all just from Zed Games. Thanks for listening to Zed Games.
If you'd like to listen to more, check out our podcast on Spotify.
Or follow us on social media at ZED Games AU.
See you next time.